A lot of people say India has bad fuel. Trust me, that is not the case.
Is it?
It's not. India has one of the best fuel in the world.
Something that picked up quite a lot of attention within the social media circle, that people started calling me out saying that these are all fake tests.
Octane number, just a permission. It is not power.
Because diesels, as of today, are the backbone of tier 2, tier 3.
It is not the backbone, it is the backbone of the entire country.
Hello everyone, my name is Ishaan Bharadwaj and welcome to Monkey Drivers Club. We decided to record this podcast pretty much last minute. Varunav, who's our guest today, is the founder of Triple Shot High Performance Fuel Additives, also my partner in crime in this entire operation. And he drove in from Chandigarh to participate in Auto Mechanica by ACMA. We were sitting at a coffee shop for a spot of matcha. We decided to have an elongated
Conversation.
about cars, problems, and different things that we both connect on
Yeah.
almost every single time we get on a phone call.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, why don't we make it a proper podcast? There are no scripts, there are no questions that we thought on. By the time we reached here, which is a timeline of about 10 minutes from the restaurant, we wrote down some questions in very bad handwriting. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Varunav Modi.
Thank you.
So, how are you feeling in this very polluted and chaotic city out of Chandigarh?
I mean, coming from Chandigarh is definitely you do feel it, but you feel it more the next day. So yeah, it is. But to be fair, it is better than what it was back in November, I would say.
When we were here
Yeah,
last time.
yeah, it is much better than November.
So, Varunav started off this beautiful operation of making high performance fuel additives as a passion project, which turned out to be a great product.
Thank
We
you.
met each other about 3 years ago in the year 2023, where we had a very brief conversation over messages, which turned into a 2 hour long video call
Video
whilst
call,
he
yeah.
was there in Dubai and I was here in India.
Yeah.
And we talked about how ethanol blended fuel is going to change the way people drive
Yeah.
and fuel their cars. And that is something which got me into thinking. Later on in 2025, the government pushed the entire E20 situation down everyone's throat. It was a compulsory fuel quality, and we had a lot of homework to do.
Yeah.
Varunav,
Yes.
it's a very straightforward question to
Yeah.
start
Yeah.
off
Yeah.
with.
Sure.
What made you start Triple Shot in the first place?
It was actually for my own cars. That's how I started it.
Okay.
And having driven the exact same model of the exact same car
Mhm.
with fuel from UK, I used to live in UK. That's where I studied, and it just behaved differently. And yes, naturally, you think of the odd suspects like your engine oil, this, that, blah, blah. It actually just came down to the fuel because if you remember back in the day, we used to have high performance diesel as well. It's not there anymore. And this car in question is a BMW G12, 730 G12, and it just performed differently.
I love that car.
Yeah, amazing piece. But sadly, although it is a Euro 5, it is a BS4 in India, so doesn't have a very long life ahead.
BS4, BS3, BS6. These standards were created by the Indian automotive subsidiaries or the agencies to somehow benefit either the government for taxes or the manufacturers for their profitability. What's your take on it? Because we have a very critical situation in our country right now, especially in a city like Delhi NCR, which is a test bed of a lot of these policies. Like we have the 10, 15-year-old car policy where diesel cars, although
Absolutely.
BS6 2.0 as of today that we are running, have a lifespan of just 10 years,
Yeah,
after which they are supposed to be scrapped.
yeah.
What's your take on it?
So, firstly, I don't have a take that I am completely anti what the policies are. I am in some extent with the policies, but I'm not with them in terms of the way they're being deployed.
Mhm.
They could have been deployed in a much, much better fashion. Moreover, in my personal opinion, I think that India should not be following the Euro standards at all,
Why so?
because they should be coming up with their own standards,
Okay.
right? And they should not be replicating and adapting
Mhm.
European standards. That's my personal opinion. What changes and what new technologies are they bringing to the fuel
Mhm.
that the pollution reduces? That is what I would have focused more towards
Mhm.
if I was in a policy making position. Yeah, I mean, we almost have the same amount of cars on the roads that entire Europe does. It's a huge market for cars over here, and to be just following what those norms are saying, completely replicating them, not a good idea in my opinion. And specifically, just completely jumping from Euro 4 to Euro 6, that is also causing a lot of you know discomfort to car owners who back then got Euro 5 standard cars, which do have DPFs in the case of diesels. They are being branded as polluting cars, which
Mhm.
are actually not as bad. So if I can talk about a couple more things, when BS6 diesel came out, the sulfur content was reduced heavily. And you started to hear that people are complaining about injectors getting spoiled,
Mhm.
right? How often did you hear injectors getting spoiled back then? Wasn't really a thing.
Yeah,
My dad's
nothing.
Q7 2009 model, he drove it 268,000 kilometers.
Another tasteful car.
Yeah, it was a CBU.
Mhm.
Never changed a single injector. Never had to get any injectors serviced. My new Q7, it is at 99,000 kilometers. Injectors have been serviced. And yes, they reduce the sulfur
Mhm.
for better pollution.
Mhm.
But what they don't factor in is that what is the long term effect of that lower lubrication in the injectors? Injectors start to get spoiled. What happens? More fuel goes in, engines done rich. What happens? More pollution.
That does answer a lot of questions that I've had in my mind, and I'm sure a lot of you who are watching behind the screens would have this question answered as well. But there's one critical thing that you spoke about, that the quality of fuel. How does our country differ with the quality of fuel than what global standards are? Because we had a very long and arduous conversation about the quality of fuel in Dubai, where you are situated. You've been living there for quite some time,
Quite
and
some time, yeah.
you have some wonderful cars over there as well.
Thank
And
you.
the quality of fuel over there. You've also traveled to Russia because your
Yeah,
family's there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Uh,
I've lived in a lot of places
you've
around the
lived in a
world.
lot of
Yeah,
places,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you have driven and you have experienced different countries with different fuel qualities and how things function around there, and you
Absolutely.
being so deeply rooted into this entire ecosystem and how you research your way into all these things to have a very cohesive and
Understanding of, yeah,
compounded understanding of things.
yeah, yeah.
What's your take on the fuel quality situation in India, and what all can be done to improve it from a critic point of view?
See, firstly, a lot of people say India has bad fuel.
Hmm.
Okay. Trust me, that is not the case.
Is it?
It's not.
Hmm.
India has one of the best fuel in the world.
That's surprising.
Yeah, India does. Because you have to think of it like this, that India is one of the largest refiners of fuel in the world as well. You could say India has bad fuel back in the 90s.
Okay.
No longer. The world's biggest refinery functions in India. Where issues take place is adulteration.
Hmm.
The fuel may leave the refinery at a US spec, but by the time it reaches our car, you have water in the fuel, you have dirt, you have contamination, and lot needs to be done on the transport, lot needs to be done on the hygiene factors of the fuel before it reaches our car. And that is actually where the fuel starts to take a tumble.
Hmm.
Yet it does not become a bad fuel. See, it all depends what are you calling bad.
Hmm.
Okay. Um in some countries where the refineries are not doing FCC or HCC, which means catalytic cracking,
Okay. Can you define the abbreviation FCC and HCC?
fractional catalytic cracking.
Okay.
So what that does is that the quality of the gasoline
Hmm.
is actually much closer to naphtha,
Okay.
and then it is not really a petrol anymore,
Hmm.
because when petrol is straight distilled, right, it comes to you at about 70 octane, 75 octane.
That's very low.
Yeah. So this is historically what the case was.
Hmm.
Today, with hydrocracking, fractional cracking, your average RON is around 88.
Hmm.
Okay, 88, even 90. And they have been working on improving this since a long time.
Hmm.
Millions and millions of dollars are being poured in the R&D, right? So the fuel quality is not bad if you talk in terms of research octane number and so on.
But this is at the refinery level that we're
A
talking about.
refinery level, yeah.
Okay. Now comes the point where, as you mentioned, that the transportation, perhaps at the depot level where the fuel is stored state-wise
Yeah.
or at a center of multiple states like how we have in the Northeast, that is where the adulteration or
You can't
mixing
really
happens.
you can't really call it adulteration or mixing.
Okay,
You can call it oversight of quality control,
interesting.
because see, parameters are there, quality control parameters are there, they're very very strict.
Mhm.
People are randomly coming and checking the quality at the bunks, etc. But who has set those parameters?
Hmm.
Are those parameters strong enough to ensure that quality? Because everything changes with the level of volume that we have. Our volumes are so big that you virtually can't control everything.
And India is a very,
It's a huge market.
it's a huge market.
You
That's correct.
cannot control it the
Hmm.
way the Europeans can control it.
Yeah.
If you look at the figures, it's a huge difference. It's a completely different ball game.
I've seen fuel density being displayed at even the fuel station in tier 2, tier 3 petrol pumps. In fact, I was pretty surprised. I was at a very remote location in Sikkim, where my in laws are. And I saw this old fuel station, but with a very modern fuel pump, which
Yeah.
had fuel density written on it. And I was pretty surprised that, that is something that is visible to people. People are aware of it. But how does it really matter to the person? How do we educate the end consumer about certain things? Because again, you know things more deeply, and how do we simplify the kind of quality that the end consumer is getting, and how are we getting the adulterated kind of fuel?
A simple answer:
Yeah.
you can't.
Okay.
Okay. You, as a consumer,
Hmm.
as an end consumer, you have no tools at your disposal
Hmm.
to virtually check the quality of the fuel that is going inside your car. You
Okay.
can't. I'll give you an example of Russia.
Hmm.
They had a mindset. Russia, you know how strong it is when it comes to oil and gas. They had a mindset that we are getting bad quality octane in our fuel.
This is happening in Russia.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there was this mindset back then.
Hmm.
Not that much these days. They sell a small device that you can put into your fuel tank, and then you put the nozzle into the device. Yeah.
Okay.
And then you start to fill it up. It tells you what RON is going inside your fuel tank live.
Wow.
Yeah. I do
In
have
Russia.
yeah, I do have the device at home. I do have the device at home, but sadly it does not work in India, because the owner who developed that device, the owner of the company, it's called Octis. Okay, OKTIS. He told me, boss, if there is even a minute amount of water in your fuel, even the smallest amount of water in your fuel, my machine won't catch it.
Do you think fuel bunks in India have that sort of equipment to check?
They can. It's not that difficult. They
But they
can
don't
easily.
have.
I don't know. See,
Interesting.
see, everything goes as per the BS norms, right?
Hmm.
I'm not the BS, Bureau of Indian Standards, BIS,
BIS.
BIS norms, and the standard of the fuel. It is like a 5 page or 6 page
Hmm.
physical characteristics test.
Hmm.
कि how much should be the cetane,
Hmm.
range होती है, कितना sulfur होना चाहिए. It's a range. Everything there is a range, right? Your fuel coming out of the refinery, if it matches that range, you're good. BS6 diesel came out, sulfur content was reduced, but was anything to bring back that lubricity? We don't know. Was it done in Europe? Maybe. See, because everything that you reduce, you need to put something back in, And what does that do? It increases cost. Now, if you think from a refinery's perspective, any changes that they make to the fuel will increase the cost of the fuel. E20's example, the biggest problem is that it is not optional, right?
And it's pretty dreadful too.
It is not optional.
Yeah.
Now, if say that your fuel that you're getting from the petrol pump,
Mhm.
if it contained all those additives that we are putting in our additives,
Mhm.
the cost would be higher,
Higher.
right? Would people believe them?
They won't.
But they would abuse them that now my per liter is 5 rupees more. So with an aftermarket additive, you're giving the people a choice that if you want to use it, use it. If you don't want to use it, don't use it. Speaking of additives, how fuel actually works, coming back to what I said in the beginning, additives were a big thing when the fuel was straight distilled, right? Because as I told you, the RON was much lower. So refineries had to use octane booster raw materials. There are around 40, 50 different kind of raw materials.
Mhm.
Entirely depends on how much of percentage is being put inside the fuel.
Okay.
Now what has happened is that in one place with FCC and etc.,
Mhm.
your base RON has increased.
Mhm.
How do you bring it up from 88 to 91? You use these octane boosting raw materials
In the fuel itself.
in the fuel itself.
Okay.
What we put in our products has been being used in refineries.
Interesting.
Okay.
Mhm.
The only difference is that they have to choose 90% purity,
Mhm.
89% purity out of those 60 odd raw materials, whereas we can opt for 99.8, we can opt for 99% purities. All because we are able to give an option to the customers.
Hmm.
They have to think from a countrywide perspective that whatever is their choice of additive package,
Mhm.
it will impact millions of users.
Because I lately, at least in the last 1 year, I've heard quite a lot of podcast interviews, a lot of uh, videos about people in European countries, especially where usage of fuel additives is normalized.
Yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
something
yeah.
which they have been using for at least 2.5 decades, and it has become a part of how their car's ecosystem functions in general.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, the idea of having fuel additives in our country has not been received in a very
Positive.
positive way,
Yeah.
or in a very informative way, I would say. People are not informed properly, they are not acknowledged properly about the benefits.
If you let
Life
me
cycle.
add into that, more than Europe,
Mhm.
fuel additives are a huge market in the US continent.
Oh, yes.
Canada
Yeah.
and USA,
Mhm.
they're big,
I guess the most amount of fuel additives that we've got in India are from the US itself. We've got
most likely.
Stable, we've got
Most likely, yeah, yeah.
Amsoil.
But see, they all have a purpose to fulfill.
Hmm.
In US, they all have a purpose to fulfill. They are on your grocery stores.
Um,
There are entire aisles of fuel additives
hmm.
on the grocery store. And that is actually where I started to pick up these ideas from, that why isn't it a thing in India? Now, speaking of octane boosters will go obsolete.
Why do you say that?
Ethanol.
Hmm.
Now, just building on to what I said, the
Mhm.
history of petrol, how it is not really a petrol anymore, more of a motor spirit,
Mhm.
right? Because it is closer to naphtha than it is to petrol,
Yes.
okay? Because of all the refining technologies that are used nowadays.
Mhm.
Ethanol was being blended in petrol by about 1%, 0.5%, 1%, 1.5%.
I guess this was happening before this current government came in.
It
It was
was
already there.
being done since I guess around 2012.
Correct.
Okay.
Then when 5% was introduced.
No, 5% was put up 2016 roughly. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But ethanol was always there
Hmm.
in our fuel. Now, these drawn boosters that refineries have to use, they are
Mhm.
typically expensive raw materials.
Hmm.
100 rupees a liter is the starting price. Even you can say as low as 70 or 80 rupees per liter is the starting price. And they can go up to 300 rupees a liter, 400 rupees a liter. Naturally, The expensive ones need a lower dosage, and everything works in different ways.
Mhm.
What output do you want? What is your base fuel? Everything depends on the base fuel actually.
Mhm.
Ethanol's RON is 110.
Correct.
Now do the math.
Hmm.
If you're putting 20% of 110, and if you have 80% of say 88 or 89, why do you need octane boosters anymore?
That is correct. But I see a huge market for octane boosters being pushed down on social media. In fact, I was a little surprised. I was at one of the car meets here in Delhi and some people carrying around octane boosters. And I was like, why do you need this in 2026 or 2025? Things are going off the chart. We had this conversation before, in fact. But the deep rooted understanding of it is what I lacked a bit. But
See, because this information comes to me by my suppliers, right?
yeah.
They are in trouble
Hmm.
because refineries are getting ethanol priced 65 rupees a liter,
Mhm.
right? 65 to 70. That is the cost of ethanol right now.
Mhm.
And they're getting that 110 RON.
Mhm.
Okay. Now they say, why do we need that expensive stuff?
I was coming to that.
Expensive stuff might be nice,
Mhm.
might not have the drawbacks of ethanol. See, every octane booster has some or the other drawback.
Mhm.
Every octane booster.
Mhm.
It depends on how are you managing it.
Mhm.
Okay. You can't just choose MMT. Don't want to name names, but there are certain US branded MMT based products that are being widely sold in India, and MMT is banned in India. It is very, very banned in India.
Because of its carcinogenic character.
So, in my opinion, the future of fuel additives, what government should be pushing towards, they are a way to reduce pollution.
Which it does, essentially. But I have a very interesting and slightly controversial question here. Now, we say that ethanol is getting into the fuel. We are slowly going away from the need of having octane boosters in fuel because ethanol is locally produced. It's
Sorry to interrupt, but most of these octane boosters that are being used by the refineries are also locally produced.
okay,
And
but it's a more expensive material to have.
it is an expensive material, but the dosage is lower, right?
Okay.
To reach that level of octane, you
Mhm.
need 20%, 10%.
Right.
Whereas these aromatic octane boosters,
Mhm.
which can be traced back to crude,
Mhm.
they need a smaller dosage.
Okay.
So the effective cost is what the refineries and what the OMCs need to see.
Okay.
And right now, ethanol is kind of winning, but they are still using the traditional octane boosters.
But isn't it supposed to be the case where, so in the US, I was looking at the fuel prices. Regular fuel with no ethanol blending, US, Latin American markets, is on an expensive side. Once you blend in ethanol, which essentially
It is
doses
very
in,
cheap.
it's supposed to be cheaper. The government should have been supplying its citizens, its taxpayer citizens, with a much more economical fuel.
I do agree to that.
Where do you think, as per your opinion, your raw opinion, as to why are we getting this fuel not just at the price that it was with the normal fuel, but a slightly more expensive price than what ethanol or non-ethanol blended fuel was? Why is it so? Why do you think that's happening?
See, everywhere else where the option is there,
Hmm.
right? Ethanol fuels are usually about 20-25% cheaper.
Okay.
Okay. And people do go for it. Yeah,
Hmm.
fine. No problem. It's your option. See, India made a big shift to this.
Hmm.
You need to understand how this entire thing came into play. All right. We need a lot of grain to make the ethanol. There are two methods. You either use sugarcane molasses or you use grain.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, yes, all those things are true that grain dependency reduce, like your grain requirements increase, farmers, this, that. It's all true. Not denying it. But these companies, they need a regular supply of grain.
Hmm.
Nothing can miss. All right. You cannot have even a single day where you don't get your raw material.
Hmm.
Everything shuts down. These are huge factories that we're talking about.
Yeah.
To set up these huge factories, the government invested heavily in R&D.
Okay.
There was something called a subsidy scheme
Hmm.
where entrepreneurs were given lower interest rates
Hmm.
to start the factories, to set up these factories. Government is purchasing the ethanol at a good price, good for these people. good price. It is skinny, but for these people who are making the ethanol, it is a sure short demand. Okay. If you are making, say, 7 lakh liters a day, 5 lakh liters a day, our goods are being lifted.
Hmm.
Even if we are getting a rupee per liter less, 2 rupees per liter less, at least is going. The factory is running.
Hmm.
Okay. So R&D, transport of the ethanol, lots and lots of things. By the time the government earns its money back,
Mhm.
the fuel prices from the base would have also increased,
Increased.
right?
Understood.
So you can't look at the present moment and say, why hasn't it become cheaper? You have to look from it from a future perspective.
Hmm.
It might stay the same for the next 3 years or 4 years. It's an extremely volatile market. Prices change daily. You have to factor in a lot of things that went into this shift.
Hmm.
Mind you, what they have done, uh, it's a huge task. There was a very small amount of ethanol being made in India. Majority of the ethanol, what we call it today, was going in for the liquor market. They tapped all the people making the liquor that start to produce ethanol. Brand new factories were set up. Today there are around close to 1,000 units making ethanol.
That's a lot of units
Yeah, and
in India itself.
yeah, and they are big units.
Hmm.
1 lakh liters per day is like,
Wow.
they don't even count it as a big unit anymore. I know people in this industry, they have 7 lakh liters per day, 9 lakh liters per day.
Wow.
Okay, and they have multiple of these plants. So the government did give it a push. Okay, there were committees made. There were a lot of how to fund these projects. It's a huge lobby that was done.
Hmm.
So where does the money come from? From the price of petrol, right?
Yeah.
So you can't really just magically reduce it. Although, in my opinion, it should have been reduced, but I can understand why it wasn't reduced.
Talking about research and development in the last 2 years, when Varunav and I were testing out triple shot, I was doing a lot of fuel economy runs on different press cars that I was getting in my garage. Uh, Something that picked up quite a lot of attention within the social media circle, that people started calling me out saying that these are all fake tests.
I
Perhaps,
didn't know that happened.
yeah, we were running quite a lot of fuel economy tests.
I mean, the RSQ8 one was the best so far.
Yeah, yeah.
I loved
So
it.
even Audi
Absolutely.
India was like, oh, how are you getting such high fuel economies? 30 kilometers an hour, 32 kilometers an hour on certain cars, which were not supposed to be giving so much fuel
Kilometers per
economy.
liter, you mean to say?
Kilometers per liter,
Yeah.
sorry, my bad. And that's how we sort of refined and made triple shot very, very effective by constant testing, constant development. And we really hit the spot when E20 was made compulsory within the Indian market. Now, out of this all, I have a very technical question, and you will be the best person to answer that.
Yeah.
Why is fuel economy such an important aspect or
Yeah.
an indicator
Absolutely right.
for an engine's health? Because we've had a very short conversation on this, but I really want you to define how things really turn out to be in terms of engine health, because we've never had this conversation on any forum before.
See, you may have a V8, you may
Mhm.
have a V6, you may have a luxury car that you don't care about fuel economy.
Mhm.
Do I care about fuel economy as much? Do you care about fuel economy as much? I don't think so. Okay. But do you use fuel economy as an indicator of your engine health? You don't. You should.
Hmm.
Say, for example, if you have a car with 80 liters of fuel tank, right? Even a difference of 2 kmpl
Mhm.
can give you 100 kilometers more on that tank, which is virtually 1 day's more of running.
Hmm.
Okay. Now, nowadays, how the fuel economy is calculated and what is shown to you is also being changed.
Interesting. Tell me
Yeah.
more.
Okay. So, earlier on in the days,
Mhm.
the car would just calculate your fuel economy on the spot.
Okay.
Okay.
Maybe it does.
No. If you look at the test you did with the Audi RSQ8, it showed you a short term memory. All right.
Yeah.
Now, in the case of a car that has a number but it has a sliding scale, It is the sliding scale that is showing you your on time present
The
fuel
instantaneous
economy,
fuel economy that we call it.
right?
Mhm.
That number is calculating what you have been doing throughout your journey.
Hmm.
What it captures is the time you have spent stationary while not doing any kilometers.
Mhm.
Say you have been standing without your engine off, and it will calculate that time as well, and it will your average will be zero for that time,
Hmm.
right? Because in the car's mind, you're not moving. So it factors in that stationary time into your average time, average fuel economy over that time of that short term memory,
Hmm.
right? It doesn't just show you that how many kilometers are you doing right now. So that's why I always recommend to people that if you really want to calculate your fuel economy, you have to go tank to tank method,
Correct.
right? So
But don't you think the digital display that are there in cars today with such advanced technologies within ECUs and computers, don't you think the numbers that are shown on the screen of the multi-information display or the instruments display is pretty much accurate, or there's a very, very, very small deviation than what is accurate?
they are 100% accurate in my opinion. 100% accurate because I have tested it against the tank to tank method as well. Like I said, that they are so advanced that they are even calculating the time that you have spent stationary because the
Hmm.
car now wants you to switch off your engine,
Mhm.
right? Although that's a different debate, but it wants you to switch off your engine when you're stationary. So it will start to tell you that this was zero.
Hmm.
In your mind, you'll be like, yeah, my car is giving shit fuel economy. But after some time, you'll see that, oh, my economy has become nice because what? You have done a bit of a longer run. Now it has it has recalculated, and it will not show you the live, it will show you the average of that run.
Hmm.
So it takes time into consideration as well. So they're extremely advanced now, especially VW group cars.
I'm sure
Yeah,
VW
yeah, yeah.
cars have been VW group cars. In fact, have been very, very efficient. You drive an Audi A4, and that has been
Sadly, yes, multiple Audis.
but and that has been giving really good fuel economy. In fact, I just drove in from the restaurant till here in his car, and it was showing about 17 kilometers to the liter.
Yeah,
That was pretty
in
surprising
the
because
city,
that
yeah.
although the EA 888 Gen 4 engine that it's running
Great
right
car,
now with
yeah.
the 7-speed S-tronic gearbox is supposed to be very, very efficient, but that efficient is something I was really surprised of.
Actually, can we just go back to the topic where you said how is fuel economy an indicator of how your car is doing?
Let's do that. Let's continue with that.
Uh, I'll go back even bit further back where you
Ancient
said
times.
that how do you know if my my fuel quality is good or not?
Hmm.
The only thing that you and I as consumers we have access to is कितना देती है,
Hmm.
right? But वो कितना देती है is it has a lot of things at the back,
Okay.
right? Fuel efficiency is not just the efficiency of what your car is burning and how much it is giving you, it is also the efficiency of what your engine is doing,
Hmm.
right? If there is something wrong with your engine, your fuel economy tanking is one of the first indicators, right? If there is any kind of resistance coming to your drivetrain, say your CV axle or something, or your gearbox, something
Or
or the other,
DPF choking in diesel cars.
everything will
Hmm.
tank your fuel economy. If there's a vacuum leak, the engine is sucking in air from somewhere else, it is running lean,
Mhm.
your injector is getting spoiled, your engine is running rich, everything will affect your fuel economy. That's the first symptom that you have to watch out for.
And that's something that is not discussed so widely. That
Exactly.
engine health is a parameter that really truly indicates your fuel economy at the end of the day. I've had multiple people driving regular cars and they are
Even
comparing.
your air filter being choked, your economy will tank.
Correct. I have an i20 turbo automatic that I use as a daily driver. When I have conversations with my peer group and I tell them that this car gives about 12 and a half, 13 kilometers to the liter in the city, I take it up to 24, 25 kilometers to the liter on the highway, they laugh at me. They're like, how is that possible? My car doesn't give more than 6.5, 7. My car goes for a service with proper components that get changed as per the service schedule every 6 to 7,000 kilometers, irrespective of the
Yeah,
timeline. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
timeline is
yeah,
also a
yeah.
case, but I drive it quite a bit and I make sure that all my components are in the best shape possible, and henceforth, it indicates in the fuel economy that I get on a regular. Now, getting back to the topic of cafe, which is something that is very important. I really wanted to speak about this with our viewers, and I would want to have your opinion on it
Sure,
as well,
sure, sure.
because
Yeah,
BS6 2.0 is the current fuel emissions, the engine emissions standard that we are running. And I guess by the end of this year or the starting of next year, we have BS7 coming in. We're currently running the CAFE 2 norms, which essentially has CAFE, to all the ladies and gentlemen who are watching this, is corporate average fuel economy numbers.
yeah,
It's a policy marker for all car manufacturers, wherein they take a cumulative average fuel economy of all their cars fleet, which have to be at a certain
certain level.
point.
Yeah,
So with CAFE 2 norms, that number is at about 112 grams per kilometer, which is pretty low. And hence, a lot of car manufacturers like Toyota has done a joint venture with brands like Maruti Suzuki, whose cars are very fuel efficient, although Toyota's main products, which have large diesel engines, are not very good with emission standards. Now, to get this benefit even further, car manufacturers are pushing the narrative of electric cars, which gets them the benefit of up to two cars with their emissions and make their score even better. So, the better score it is, the more benefits the manufacturer gets.
yeah.
Now, in BS7 and in CAFE 3 norms, collectively, we would be going down to 91 grams per kilometer of emissions. I had a conversation with Mr. Nitin Kohli, who's the Group MD of Volkswagen Cars in India. And not the Group MD, the Managing Director for Volkswagen India. And he indicated that it's not 91 grams per kilometer for India, it's going to be 88 grams per kilometer in India. So a large chunk of the manufacturers would be pushed to either phase out diesel engines, which I think is not going to be a wise decision, but it's just a speculation right now. And they would be pushed to make strong hybrid cars, would be pushed to get battery electric vehicles into their fleet. What's your opinion about this fuel economy and emission standards that would be coming into place? And how would they be playing a role in creating, let's say, less enthusiastic cars? Because, of course, battery electric cars, although they are very powerful, but they sort of lack the soul. I think most of these internal combustion cars with proper turbocharged engines that you and I drive together are going to slowly diminish. But that's just my thinking. What's your opinion on it?
See, sometimes you have to evaluate that will adoption of a new technology be easier than transitioning from an old technology to a new technology,
Hmm.
right? Especially when the adoption is so widespread. What India did with E20 in terms of just adoption and transition,
Mhm.
it is huge. Okay, credit given where it is due. You can't just make this transition. They knew that there will be sufferers, right? But eventually you have to say that we'll deal with the sufferers, we have to move forward.
Hmm.
Okay, now what they have done is that fuel economies have tanked, but at the end of say 1 year, is a car really putting out that much of NOx and all the list of pollutants into the sky, or is it putting less? Do we know that? We don't know
We don't
that,
know that.
right? Especially considering the non E20 cars. So, could have we had a better and a stricter focus on fuel? Could have we innovated different types of fuels? What is going to be the cost of doing that? Because, see, from what I have been studying, is that the Euro 7, there's no serious change to the fuel. Where is the pollution coming from? It is coming from the damn fuel, right?
Correct, correct.
You are doing band aid, but you're not going to the root cause issue.
Hmm.
What is the band aid? Who is paying for the band aid?
The customer.
The customer, the manufacturer. You are having DPFs and this and that and lots of hundreds of other things. People have done research. There are a lot and a lot of technologies, a lot of things that are present, but they just haven't seen widespread adoption to reduce the emissions. There was a guy long back who made maybe in the 80s or something,
Mhm.
who made diesel cars run on diesel fumes, vapors of diesel. Yes, there were problems with this invention, but it could have been revolutionary. It could have changed the way diesel burns today. He went missing.
But that's just the
He
oil lobby
he went
playing
he went
spoil
missing,
sport.
right? Yeah, in my opinion, things could have been done differently,
Mhm.
considering that electric cars are not a lot less polluting if you think about the supply chain, if you think about what happens to the batteries when the cars are, it's a different discussion altogether. But
It's funny you talk about electric cars because that's the second topic that I was coming to after this. But yeah, go on.
so yeah, like could have been done differently. I think more focus could have been done on the fuel.
Yeah.
More innovation could have been done on the fuel.
Hmm.
There are a lot of innovations already. They could have been made more mainstream.
Hmm.
Simple things like I spoke about the lower sulfur, bad
Hmm.
injectors.
Hmm.
What's happening? Cars are throwing out tons of smoke.
And I was surprised
Because of
how.
bad injectors, they are
Yeah.
throwing out tons of smoke.
Hmm.
Why? Because the long term effects.
Hmm.
So something on paper may completely be different in terms of its long term effects.
Yeah. I was surprised. Sorry, I'm cutting you down on this. Uh, DPF was introduced during BS6 generation, or was it before that? It was during BS6 at large.
See, it depends what do you call DPF. Cars have
Elaborate.
had European cars have had DPF since Euro 5.
Okay.
Some have had since Euro 4,
Hmm.
right? Regenerative DPFs, SOC DPFs. It entirely depends what do you call a DPF.
But in India, there seem to have been, I shouldn't use the word failing, but there have been issues related to
Yeah, yeah,
DPF at
yeah,
large. People
yeah.
have been suffering, and there is not enough information and acknowledgement about how does DPF really function and what sort of things that you need to change in your driving behavior or driving cycle to make the best use of it, because I've seen some cars done 15, 16,000 kilometers, their DPFs are choking.
So DPF करता क्या है कि it has two things which are going inside. मोटा मोटा I'll tell you.
Mhm.
One is your soot
Mhm.
and the other is ash. What ash is? It is a permanent buildup that cannot be regenerated. Ultimately, it kills the life of your DPF.
Mhm.
It is supposed to, one DPF is supposed to last around 2 lakh to 2 lakh 50,000 kilometers. But the number of times you are regenerating your soot, it is converting into a part of ash.
Mhm.
Why is your DPF accumulating that much of soot in the first place?
That's
Aap,
something we have never questioned,
right?
but we know about it.
Combustion efficiency is low,
Mhm.
right? Your engine is running rich, or your engine has something or the other, it's not combusting properly.
Mhm.
And the one of the big cause, even a bad air filter, something as simple as a bad air filter can cause your DPF's life to reduce. Now, back in the Euro 5, DPFs were not given that big of a job as they are given now with the because as you mentioned that the rules and the carbon, so the DPF was put into a bigger job, right? The size of the DPS was increased, SCR was put, DOC was put, and urea is injected. All great things, but if you don't focus at the root cause, which is in complete broad terms, comes down to temperature. The main root cause, temperature. Is it suiting Indian driving styles and Indian driving environment? A car is only as good as its damn environment. If something was engineered in a place where the distances are larger, it was designed in a place where the cars can reach its optimum temperature, it's a completely different ball game.
Correct.
जैसे हमारा डीपीएफ चोक हो रहा है, यूरोप का तो नहीं होता. अरे when the total drive over here is 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 10 minutes drive, I don't mean staying stationary in traffic, that is
Yeah.
not counted as a drive.
Mhm.
What can the DPF do? A DPF is getting maximum soot buildup when it is standing stationary.
Correct.
In traffic,
Hmm.
when the car is switching on and off, that is the maximum soot buildup.
And it's funny that people buy
Diesel cars for this
diesel cars
purpose.
for city. They're like, because the fuel economy is really good. You don't want to go for petrol powered cars. And 10 years is okay because you drive quite a bit. But
It's the
within the
biggest
city,
mistake. Biggest mistake.
I mean, if you're not driving the car on highways and if you're not doing 90 to 100 kilometers an hour, for the DPF to actually filter things out and collect the soot and do whatever magic that it does, You are choking up the system.
And you are choking it up, and because your car is regenerating more than it should.
Mhm.
See, usually a regen should be done maybe once in a week or maybe once in 2 weeks, right? In BS4 cars, Euro 5, the regens are passive.
Mhm.
What does that mean? The car will regenerate on its own, provided some certain parameters are met. Certain amount of soot mass is there already, certain temperatures are there already, and certain driving speed is already there.
Mhm.
There are a couple of parameters, and the car will regenerate on its own. You will not get to know कहीं लाइट नहीं आएगी, कहीं आपको उसको you will not need to press some buttons या
Mhm.
मैकेनिक वर्कशॉप के लिए जाना पड़ेगा, वो खुद ही क्लियर करता रहेगा.
Mhm.
पीपल थिंक मेरी गाड़ी में डीपीएफ नहीं है. अरे है डीपीएफ, बट वो वैसा डीपीएफ नहीं है जिसको रीजनरेशन सारे टाइम चाहिए होता है, ज़्यादा चाहिए होता है.
सोशल मीडिया पे वायरल कर देते हैं दैट ओ मेरा डीपीएफ चौक हो गया, मेरे से डीजल गाड़ी में पता नहीं क्या BS6 के अंदर डाल रखा है. Again, the use case has to be very different in today's time, especially with the emission norms that we have and this DPF system that we have in
अब आप ये
BS3
सोचो
cars.
कि मैन्युफैक्चरर्स को क्या क्या करना पड़ रहा है टू कॉम्बैट दोज प्रॉब्लम्स.
But don't you think if people are buying these diesel cars in today's time, where the DPF filters are getting choked prematurely because of their, again, driving styles, don't you think the actual cumulative emission
इज
from
हायर.
these diesel cars is higher?
येस एंड नो, बिकॉज जब वो डीपीएफ चोक हो जाएगा इट विल सैक्रिफाइस इट्स ओन लाइफ.
Mhm.
वो डीपीएफ 2 लाख चलने की जगह वो 50,000 पे चेंज हो जाएगा. वो
Which is an expensive affair.
वो अपने आप को रीजनरेट करता रहेगा,
Mhm.
राइट, बट वो बाहर नहीं छोड़ेगा.
Hmm.
इट विल सैक्रिफाइस इट्स ओन लाइफ, बट इट विल नॉट पुट द एमिशन आउट ऑफ द टेल पाइप.
Hmm.
अब जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल हमारी ड्राइविंग स्टाइल्स में क्या है, आई एम टॉकिंग जनरल 90% जो रिटेल कस्टमर गाड़ी चला रहा है,
Hmm.
दे विल लग द इंजन. अगर उसको सेकंड गियर में चलना है एट दैट स्पीड, वो उसको तीसरे में चलाएंगे. जैसे ट्रक चला रहे हो, दैट इज द वर्स्ट थिंग फॉर योर फ्यूल इकोनॉमी. व्हाई डू यू हैव अ गियर बॉक्स देन? टू रिड्यूस द लोड, राइट? इफ यू लगिंग द इंजन, इज यू आर reducing your fuel economy, nothing else.
Lugging is basically driving at very low RPMs,
Driving at very low RPMs, higher gears,
where the turbocharger perhaps might not be even working.
thinking
Understood.
that you are getting a better fuel economy, but not.
But I guess
not the
that is
case.
also one of the excuses that government is trying to pick up to, and I'm not sure, this is also a speculation जो मैंने experts के कानों से मुंह से सुना है अपने कानों तक कि by the time BS7 comes, this government would want to get rid of
Diesel.
diesels. Would it happen? Would it not? I feel
I think
diesels,
it would. Personally, I think it would.
because diesels as of today are the backbone of tier 2, tier 3
Yeah,
cities, villages.
It is not the backbone. It is the backbone of the entire country. Think
Exactly.
of it like that. Trains, generators, bloody trucks, everything. Defense. Everything is on diesel.
I was in Jaisalmer very recently, and the car that we were testing, the Volkswagen Tayron, was the only petrol car that I saw around. We had diesel cabs, we had diesel trucks, we had diesel buses. Barely I could find a car which would have a petrol car. And roads in Rajasthan are like open. They can
Open,
do
exactly.
90, 100, 120 kilometers an hour with absolute ease. And उनकी गाड़ियों में DPF choke नहीं होती. I had a conversation with a few drivers over there and I asked them कि बॉस आपकी DPF का
कि
जो
क्या
प्रॉब्लम आता
problems
नहीं.
हैं, हाँ.
मुझे क्या प्रॉब्लम आता है सर, हमारी तो गाड़ी चलती रहती है, हाई स्पीड पे चलती है, और डीजल गाड़ी इसलिए ली है क्योंकि हाईवे पे
लंबी
चलानी है.
journeys हैं.
पेट्रोल की यहाँ जरूरत पड़ती नहीं और पेट्रोल गाड़ी लेते भी नहीं लोग. मतलब महिंद्रा, टोयोटा, टाटा का माहौल है वहाँ पे. You would have large capacity diesel engine cars over there and people love it. And that is the backbone of their logistics over there. अब tier 1 cities है, Mumbai, Delhi, they become the test bed for all these policies and it sort of
Ruins the
ruins the entire
widespread
ecosystem. Yeah,
application, yeah.
exactly. So I think that should not be the case.
Then you also have to think that the policymakers are extremely smart. You know, they do take these things into consideration, but also they have limitations. As I said before, adoption
Mhm.
versus complete transition.
Mhm.
You know, it all comes down to cost. How much will a new adoption cost, right? Is it even worth it at the end of the day? There's so many technologies, so
Yeah.
many technologies. Did you even know that there are technologies where there is microscopic or even nanoparticles of water being mixed in diesel and it is being called hydrodiesel? It is pink and white in color. Yeah, there are crazy amount of things in the world when it comes to fuel tech.
Wow.
Yeah, बट अगेन उसको अडॉप्ट करना, उसको वाइड स्प्रेड एप्लीकेशन में लाना,
Mhm.
all comes down to cost at the end of the day.
Well, let's talk about policies and take it a little further. I know we have been very critical about how gasoline and diesel cars are functioning, but we see a tsunami of electric cars. It's a hot topic. It's something
Absolutely.
that you also largely speak about when we have our long conversations. And China is going big on electric. Now, when it comes to emissions, pollution, and all that we are suffering in India, being at the higher echelon of the most powerful countries in the world, China, I feel, and perhaps you might also concur with me, that they're about 100 times ahead of us in solving a problem and getting the entire electrification of cars in a very quick and cohesive way with the ecosystem that they have. China is also a very populous country. They have a lot of people as much as we have, perhaps a little
A
less
little
now.
bit more, I guess,
I
no?
guess a little bit less
Okay.
as to what, and I could be
Accounted
wrong on
for,
this.
unaccounted for.
Yeah.
But how many of them are car users as opposed to how many of us are car users?
But as we see, China is also very huge market for a lot of manufacturers. In fact, a lot of decisions made on design and packaging of certain large German manufacturers, in fact, comes from the demands that come from China.
I'll tell you a few things. We touched upon American market being a big market for retail fuel additives, right?
Yeah, yeah.
China is actually a huge, huge fuel additive market. But
Is it so?
yes, but
That's the first time we're having this conversation, just by the way.
huge.
Okay.
They are one of the leaders when it comes to polythermine, the stuff
Wow.
that we use in triple shot. It was invented in US,
Mhm.
invented, discovered, whatever, US.
Mhm.
But China's taken things way ahead. Okay.
Mhm.
And as I mentioned, what are we doing about the actual fuel, like the innovation in fuel?
Mhm.
China has been leading the way in this. Their fuel coming at the bunk is full of additives. All right. Then I just forgot a couple of points that I want to mention.
Mhm.
They are not 100 times ahead of us alone, they're 100 times ahead of the entire world at the present
I'm
moment.
sure.
Okay.
A lot of
Similar
European
to,
companies are also scared of them.
no, it is not being scared. They're absolutely threatened, in my
Mhm.
opinion.
Mhm.
See, all the top European companies, they were producing in China in huge numbers.
Yeah.
Huge numbers. They have taken those learnings. They have learned what those European companies have been doing. They have improved in every way possible and they have put the cars out.
Mhm.
Do they work or do they break? That's a different topic, but they've done it. Okay. There are over 400 brands just in
Which is
China.
massive.
400.
It's
More than
massive.
the entire world.
We don't have so many fast food chains in India, and India is a food worthy
Capital.
country.
And 400 brands. Okay. Now, I read this somewhere that if you want to buy a Chinese car, you have to buy the Chinese car that the Chinese people are using.
Yeah.
All right. Uh, Out of that 400, even if 10 are doing good cars, that's still a big threat to the world. We are paying the price because what is happening is
Mhm.
that the likes of our favorite manufacturers,
Mhm.
they are so badly threatened by the Chinese manufacturers that they are going down the cost cutting route, and they're going down the cost cutting route in the worst way possible. At first, I was like, when I used to see a Chinese car on the road, I'm like, yuck, man, what is that?
The
Just
narrative has changed.
unpronounceable names and whatever, unless I sat in one 6 months ago. Man, what an interior! I was shocked. I was absolutely shocked. And the car costed, I think, 30 or 35 lakh
It's
rupees,
almost half the price of what
600
global
horsepower,
manufacturers are pricing their cars at.
600 horsepower,
Mhm.
and it was like 35 lakh rupees.
Insane. Insane. Even
The
I'm surprised by all
quality of
this.
leather, the quality of buttons, the amount of damping in the interior, I was shocked. What are we getting for 30 lakh rupees?
Tata
Let's not
Sierra.
talk about it.
Tata
But
Sierra.
but the difference is massive. We can't even think about how many cars
Mm.
are they losing lying in dump yards. Sorry, not dump yards, shipyards.
There's so many cars that are
They are
produced.
building like there's no tomorrow. Okay, and they are literally scrapping brand new cars because the demand isn't there, but their supply is there. That when the demand comes, boom.
And that's a huge thing to realize, because China at one point of time, at least a decade ago, let's say in the year 2014, 2015, the narrative was still there. Oh, it's a Chinese built product. It would be flimsy. It would have a set of problems that would not be very reliable, so on and so forth. But now, when we look at China as an automotive market, things have changed
It's a giant.
considerably.
It's a giant. If you look at the markets where China is leading right now,
Uh-huh.
they in those markets they say don't touch an MG. Just so you know.
That's controversial.
Just so you know. They call MGs the unreliable cars.
Okay.
Okay. BYD, Cherry.
Mhm.
Cherry also some they say that's not too good. BYD. There's a company called Great Wall Motors, and there are certain companies J-Tour,
Mhm.
which is a part of
And J2 is also coming to India with the
yeah, a
T2
part of
very soon.
MG.
Uh-huh.
But like if you dig a bit deeper, you will find that how these big Chinese companies
Mhm.
are related to how the big uh, German companies were once doing work in China.
Mhm.
I can't remember right now, but there was a Chinese company, I think it was BYD, I can't remember, where Daimler was a big investor,
That is BYD.
right?
That is
And then
BYD.
they divested it.
Mhm.
But it just goes to show how far ahead they have gone. You want to really see Chinese cars? Look at UAE, entire
It's
Middle
become a
East,
huge market over
see
there.
entire Middle East, see Latin America.
Yeah.
Look at the Chinese cars in Russia. When the sanctions came in place, man, it was floodgates opened in Russia.
And it's funny that you say that MG is not supposedly one of the most
That's
high quality cars.
that is what the local people in UAE say,
In India,
not
Chinese
me.
cars are supposed to be the MG branded
I
cars.
like Windsor. I like
It's
Windsor.
really good in quality. So when you benchmark MG as to be at the lower echelon of
You can only
quality in China,
imagine. You can only imagine.
it's going to be insane. But I see these supercars, hypercars being tested around, and they are making cars like Bugatti run for their money, which is really interesting to see.
496 kilometers per hour.
Oof.
BYD. Then
Where are these guys
they are
going?
making cars that can swim. They're making cars that can jump. Look at their suspension technologies.
Yeah.
There's a Huawei car that's come out.
Shout out to these guys because
It does
it's
crab walks
yeah.
and the prices are low. And when you see a Chinese car in Dubai now, from being that now there's a bit of excitement. There is a bit of excitement. You kind of want it. You know why? Because it is so fresh.
Yeah.
It is so out of the box,
Not contemporary anymore.
right?
It's very
And
interesting to
it
see.
is so unique
Mhm.
that you actually think that, yeah, maybe I see myself in that car someday because it has 1,000 horsepower. It costs 65 lakh rupees. It has 1,000 horsepower. It can float in the water, not like there's a lot of water in a desert, but it can, right?
And people want wow factors in their
It,
car, don't
they
they?
are completely going for wow factor,
Exactly.
the Chinese manufacturers, and they're kind of killing it. And manufacturers feel threatened.
It's like
There
adding
was
a
a
fried egg on top of your Lambo.
there was a time when they were copying all the European markets,
Mhm.
right? Now, if you see, the Europeans are slowly taking ideas from there as well. I didn't mean to say this. You can cut it out, but
I mean to hear this because funny you say this again.
BMW X2
No, no, not just that, not just that. The newly launched W223 Mercedes S Class. Those
screens.
massive screens. I heard Aziz drives one of
I
very
love that guy.
one of
I absolutely love
very
that guy.
famous influencers on Instagram
I
on
just
YouTube.
love that guy. He's so true.
He
You
went on
remind me of him a bit.
he went on bashing about the S Class. The moment I saw that car, I was like, it's beautiful on the outside. Oh, it has the same three-pointed star tail lamps. All right, okay. It has LED lights on the three-pointed star on the bonnet. Still okay. You get on the inside, you've got this massive hyper screens in an S class. Why do you do this? Then I realized the major market for Mercedes-Benz S
China.
class, China, and they had to do it. We can just go on crooning about it, but at the end of the day, they're gonna get
They
business from
had to
there.
do it. Like, you should see how the Chinese cars are now using AI. You step out of the car, you tap it twice, the car will lock, and
Seen so many of those
you
reels,
see
man. It's
those
just
videos, and
insane.
it is true. They work. They're not gimmick.
Yeah.
Up till about 4 or 5 years ago, it was gimmicky. Now it is technology, and they have done it. I don't know how have they done it. They just have done it, And I feel that in about 15 years time we'll all be driving Chinese, man.
Chinese cars making two very enthusiastic Indian guys sweat in their pants, ladies and gentlemen.
Sadly, it all changed for me when at first the number of Chinese cars
Mhm,
on the roads abroad, right?
mhm.
I used to think that where are we headed? Like all these names I can't even pronounce, can't even remember, right? But now I kind of do want one,
Hmm.
and I still don't know about the reliability aspect of it, but I kind of do want one. But will I? Maybe not. I might just stick to Audi.
I've had one. I never regretted it. Unfortunately, it had a crash.
Which
But
one?
the MG Comet. It was a nice
Oh
small
yeah, that's a
box.
very cute car. Very cute
It's
car.
a nice small box where which you can park anywhere, and I feel that was one of the best electric cars that you can have in Delhi NCR because it's
Yeah,
very
yeah,
chaotic on the
yeah,
roads. You've
yeah,
got
yeah.
so much congestion. That thing had a great AC, very comfortable, very easy to maneuver around. I guess one of the best electric cars that is
I
there.
wanted to get one for my mom. She refused.
Okay, so electric cars, we've had a great conversation about it.
Not really. We haven't spoken about if they are better than internal combustion cars.
Okay, let's hit that topic. In fact, that is also one of the most, shouldn't
I
say the word controversial,
I
but then
heard from one of your videos that you were like preserve your petrol cars and all of that. Why would you say that?
okay. So petrol, and this is just my opinion. Petrol is supposed to be the liquid gold, which should be reduced to be used by car enthusiasts who really want to extract the best out of their cars. We are stuck in start-stop traffic, very chaotic traffic jams in cities like Delhi NCR, where you're barely moving, let's say
20 feet an hour.
20
Yeah.
feet an hour. That also has also happened in cities like Gurgaon or Gurugram, as how they call it. And I think if you have the capacity and the resources to buy a secondary car, might as well get yourself a small electric car to move from point A to point B, or buy any electric car
But
based on your
but you
caliber.
realize that when electric cars get widely adopted, as going back to my transition and new adoption
Mhm,
topic,
mhm.
you will not have your liquid gold anymore.
That is also there. So, what's your opinion on this? I mean,
See,
let's hear you out.
I did my thesis on this topic
Mhm.
in my master's, and there was a lot of research.
Okay.
Obviously, that was 4 years back,
Mhm,
right? Today, at the level of which they are growing, especially battery technology,
mhm,
lithium will also be obsolete. They're working on newer battery styles.
mhm.
What I found was that, see, pollution and emissions is not just in the sky, all right? A lot of pollution is created while the batteries are mined, produced, and when they are dumped.
Mhm.
The offset is 200,000 kilometers. Only after 200,000 kilometers, a battery electric vehicle is producing less emissions than a good, say, BS6 petrol or something like that. And what happens after? 80% of a normal traditional car that we use nowadays is recyclable. They melt the bloody engine components,
So we basically don't acknowledge ourselves with the.
aluminium, steel, etc.
Hmm.
Only some interior plastics, couple of other things can't be recycled, fiberglass, etc. can't be recycled. There are ways of that as well.
They're coming up with recycled materials for interiors as well.
Glass is recycled.
Mhm.
बैटरी के साथ क्या होता है?
And that is a very questionable exercise because there are two sides of the
2.5 लाख किलोमीटर के बाद बैटरी खत्म हो जाती है,
Of course.
तो 50,000 किलोमीटर आपकी जीरो इमिशंस हुए.
Hmm.
We haven't even spoken about how to get that electricity.
Hmm. And India is an energy deficient country.
Are we having nuclear power?
We
Are
don't.
we having solar power? Till now, majority is hydrocarbon
Mhm,
fuel,
mhm.
right? Thermal energy is there. India is making huge strides to that. Kudos. But still, you are changing the source of the emission, which is yet better because that is a better and a more thermally efficient way of producing
Solar energy.
the energy. Not just the, even if it is hydrocarbon,
Mhm,
coal, etc., whatever. It is more efficient than multiple engines burning,
mhm,
is being created at source.
mhm.
Yes, that thing is there. But we are still not at that point where even that 50,000 kilometers of zero emissions is really zero emissions. But yes, of course, as I said, this parallel R&D is moving much faster than the R&D on fuel is.
Over timelines, do you think this would come to an equilibrium in terms of the emissions and the
If
overall
they
life
keep
cycle?
going like this, now see in the middle, there were a lot of manufacturers that took a step back on EV, right?
Globally, they have.
Yeah, they're pushing back, going, there's a constant to and fro.
Huh.
So I think the way they are going, another around 10 years, like the battery technology has to change, another around 10 years, they will be able to surpass fossil fuel. If there is no innovation done in fossil fuel,
Mhm.
it all comes down to how much of emission is there in the sky. Now, I saw an example in Dubai some time back. Someone had made a EV charging station. Did you see that video?
Or the diesel generator.
Yeah.
But that happens everywhere. Almost, I guess, even the EV charging stations in NCR that I've been to, if there is no electricity supply, especially in places like Gurugram and Noida,
They're burning diesel.
yeah, we have a backup diesel generator at the back
Do
which is
those
supplying.
generators have DPFs and urea?
That's questionable. That's very, very questionable. In fact,
Some do, some
mhm,
do.
this is something which is very interesting, and I'm glad you picked it up because a couple of years ago I was going through certain researches. Porsche was working on
Sustainable fuel.
sustainable fuel
Yeah,
that
but then it
is
didn't
done
really
from.
work out because I mean it didn't work out back then because the cost of making that fuel was very high because the
Mhm.
electricity consumption was huge. But they haven't given up. They're still working on it.
But do you think something like this can happen in India as well, or there would be a heavy dose of lobby on top of it to
Lobbies
protect?
everywhere.
Yeah.
Lobbies everywhere. And that is what, like, what is the lobby gaining out of the change of adoption?
Hmm.
How do you think it happened so quick with ethanol? Will we, like, there are
That's pretty much
hundreds
clear.
of different kinds of, even methanol is used as a precursor. Why did we just choose ethanol? There are hundreds of different kind of fuel and fuel derivatives and alternative fuels.
Hmm.
Why not hydrogen? I mean, think about it like this. The entire infrastructure is already there. A liquid distribution system is already there. A liquid consumption system is already there. How much would it cost? Now, everywhere someone is paying some money, somebody is earning some money, right? How much would it cost to set up a completely parallel system? Electric charges are not cheap,
They're very
and
expensive, of
and
course.
the biggest money that is spent, then how does someone not electrocute themselves? That is one of the largest cost of
Hmm.
electric charges. You're setting up an entire new infrastructure, an infrastructure that a country has been setting up for years, decades, which are fuel pumps. Is there no pollution being caused setting up that new infrastructure?
There is. There is a cost to that.
What will be the cost of, you know, removing those existing fueling infrastructures? उसकी redundancy cost क्या आएगी? उसकी redundancy emission क्या आएगी? So while a new thing is completely being started, why is the previous one being made redundant?
So, Varuna, we've spoken about electric cars in quite a wide spectrum. At the starting of this podcast, you mentioned कि octane boosters obsolete होने वाले हैं because the new ethanol fuel is here. It already has a higher RON rating. फिर ट्रिपल शॉट क्यों?
जैसे मैंने पहले कहा था ना कि मल्टीपल रास्ते हैं
हम्म,
आपको एमिशंस घटाने के,
हम्म,
फ्यूल इकोनॉमी बढ़ाने के, ठीक है? उसमें से एक रास्ता है ऑक्टेन बढ़ा के वो अचीव करने का. यू कैन इवन गेट अप टू 110 रॉन रेसिंग फ्यूल, ठीक है? यू कैन इवन गेट अप टू 110 रॉन रेसिंग फ्यूल. अब देखो इसमें हमने लिखा हुआ है पीछे दैट इट गिव्स यू अ फुल 5 रॉन, इट गिव्स यू अ फुल 5 रॉन
हम्म.
इन वन टैंक,
Okay.
ठीक है? इफेक्टिवली ये 92 93 रॉन को एक टंकी पे 5 रॉन से बढ़ाएगा. रॉन की भी ना मल्टीपल चीज़ होती हैं. एक होती है ऑक्टेन डिपेंडेंसी,
हम्म.
फिर होती है ऑक्टेन इंडेक्स, रिसर्च ऑक्टेन नंबर, मोटर ऑक्टेन नंबर, AKI, बहुत सारी
So
चीज़ें
अभी
होती
जैसे हमारे पास एथेनॉल में ब्लेंडेड फ्यूल है उसके अंदर AutoCAD did a test where it says उसका RON research octane number was around 95. So if we put this technically in a regular fuel, it boost the
हैं. देखो
RON up to
देखो
9900.
इसमें भी ना दो चीज़ें होती हैं.
Mhm.
वन इज़ अ antagonistic effect, one is a synergistic effect.
Okay.
The kind of octane boosters that we have to put in this are we
Mhm.
have to make sure that it gets a synergistic effect with all the base fuels,
Mhm.
right? Because वो भी ऑक्टेन बूस्टर्स यूज करते हैं,
हम्म,
ओके, छोटे अमाउंट में करते हैं,
हम्म,
0.5%, 0.25%, छोटे अमाउंट में, बिकॉज अब एथेनॉल ने पुश दे दिया ना,
हम्म।
बट एथेनॉल का मोटर ऑक्टेन नंबर कम है, वो इतना हाई नहीं है।
बेसिकली इसकी जो एनर्जी डेंसिटी वो।
नहीं, एनर्जी डेंसिटी किलो जूल्स में नापी जाती है।
करेक्ट।
ऑक्टेन नंबर, रॉन,
That is
ऑक्टेन
important
बूस्ट,
information just by the way. I think you
ठीक है,
should don't take
इट
notes.
इज जस्ट अ परमिशन,
हम्म,
इट इज नॉट पावर,
हम्म,
इट इज परमिशन कि क्या टाइम पे, क्वार्टर मिली सेकेंड, माइक्रो सेकेंड्स, क्या टाइम पे फ्यूल कंबस्ट कर सकते हो,
हम्म,
ठीक है। अब अगर आप ऑक्टेन बढ़ाओ, ठीक है, बट प्रोवाइडेड योर engine कैन reciprocate
हम्म,
that higher octane, you can get better efficiency because your engine can advance the timing,
हम्म,
it can burn more fuel,
हम्म।
right? It can burn cleaner, burn more fuel, everything of this sort will increase your fuel economy, right? अगर फ्यूल इकोनॉमी बढ़ी, उसका बटरफ्लाई इफेक्ट क्या हुआ, एमिशंस घटी,
And engine health, of
engine
course.
health, right? Your engine is able to burn less fuel for more power. More power is more kilometers traveled, higher fuel economy. Would the OEMs be able to engineer a 110 RON mass spread wide application? Maybe not.
Why do you say that?
Because you need very, very robust engines.
Okay.
And अगर आपने एक 110 रॉन को चलने वाले इंजन को 95 रॉन दे दिया, बेचारा फट जाएगा,
Hmm.
राइट? वो इतनी ज़्यादा इग्निशन उसको पुल करनी पड़ेगी, वो इट विल परफॉर्म एज इफ उसको 80 रॉन मिल रहा है. So there are drawbacks to everything. So there is a safe space between 91 to 100 RON where most cars can operate. Modern cars, they can operate. There are knock sensors. Tuning वालों की भी एक दो चीज़ें हैं where knock sensitivity is reduced. So your ECU is enabled to detect कि knock आ रहा है या नहीं आ रहा.
A lot of
और
Skoda cars have that.
और
People get
वो
done with them.
और वो इग्निशन को एडवांस कर देता है.
Hmm.
तो कुछ ट्यूनर्स भी ये चीज़ें मैनिपुलेट करते हैं. रॉन इज़ वन वे, एनर्जी डेंसिटी को इम्प्रूव करना इज़ वन वे. फिर इफ़ यू सी यहाँ पे वी हैव रिटन साइक्लिक यूनिफॉर्मिटी, एयर फ्यूल मिक्सचर एंड योर स्प्रे पैटर्न. देयर इज सो मच अ स्टडी ऑन स्प्रे पैटर्न बिकॉज द वे it all becomes a homogeneous mix of air and fuel. It's a mist that you're talking about. There are different sizes of droplets. Okay. Certain droplets turn into free radicals,
Mhm.
hotspots. You have to control that.
Basically, make the droplets uniform in size.
Same size.
Mhm.
They can crash together and become one big droplet. They can split, become smaller. Smaller ones will burn faster. Surface area,
Hmm.
right? Flame propagation. How quickly does the flame travel? And is the fuel not self-igniting?
Hmm.
So RON plays a role in self-ignition. And your cyclic uniformity coherently reduces the octane dependency.
Okay.
So that changes your octane index.
Mhm.
Even your outside temperature changes how much of octane or RON rating does your car need. If
So
you're
if I'm
running,
running a cold temperature on the outside and the ambient temperature,
your
very.
car will need less octane,
Hmm.
right? So it won't need less octane, that's the wrong thing to say, but the detrimental effects won't be as bad. Your knock and ping will be not as bad.
Because the car is breathing in cold air,
Colder
which
air.
basically increases the density of air for
No,
combustion.
that is a different thing. Right now, we're just talking about temperatures,
Okay, temperatures
right?
in general.
Because RON is completely related to temperature, cylinder
Interesting.
temperature, cylinder head
Interesting.
temperature.
Hmm.
But actually, क्या होता है कि ambient temperature से इतना ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं होता because by the time your NA or whatever has sucked in the air,
Mhm.
engine bay, all that heat plays a role. Because here you're talking in hundreds of degrees, ambient tens of degrees. There's not that much of a difference, but फर्क आ सकता है.
I see. Because when a lot of these manufacturers who build supercars, they test their cars at the Nürburgring to make,
Colder times, yeah.
yeah, they do it during the colder months. Now I can connect the dots. That's actually very interesting because,
As I said, the environment of the car.
yeah,
Where is the car being tested? Where is the car being designed? Where is the car being planned? Everything plays a role.
and that's why a lot of European cars, especially German cars in India, have notoriously less fuel economy because their major test beds are in the cold regions of Europe. Although they must have been tested in
Hot weather
hot
testing
climates.
is always done,
Yeah.
but then hot weather testing is done that how well is it performing, but then that's again the band-aid, right? That's not
Mm.
back to the drawing board. The back to the drawing board, the thing what is in the mind is the environment. So that completely changes the car, the way the car is designed. Obviously, the car is adapted. Those places for the possibilities of adaptation that it has to be a worldwide car,
Mhm.
they are given, those provisions are given that the different spec of car.
Mm.
Then the cars are adapted, but still they are not designed with that mind frame. For example, we have been talking about UAE quite a lot. Toyotas work in UAE. It's like it's given.
Yeah.
Audis don't work in UAE.
Mm.
WAG group cars have the highest depreciation. Mercedes and Toyota lowest depreciation because people just know that these cars, despite of them being GCC spec,
Mhm.
they can handle the heat better than the WAG group cars
Correct.
over a period of 10 years, over a period of 8
No
years
wonder a lot of bad guys in the Arab countries use Toyotas.
because they survive, man. They literally they just survive. People over there will prefer a NA
Mhm.
over a turbo
Mm.
because they know that there's much more sand, and that sand,
Yes.
they prefer reliability. They prefer less things that will break, you know. So the mindset is completely different.
And it just opens up such a huge perspective about cars right now, because that's again something that's not talked about much. I guess this is a very deep rooted conversation that we're having, and
It's all down to the environment.
yeah. And
What is the
it's
environment that the car
such
is
an
running in?
important factor, and I like how we've used the keyword band-aid every time we've had a conversation about the negative effects being,
You're trying to fix something.
yeah, so hot climates being there. uh
Now,
Perhaps.
as I say with triple shot, it is formulated for us,
Hmm.
right? You can get a super expensive additive from Germany or from USA. It might not have the same results.
And that's the narrative that I also use when I have conversations or communication about triple shot on my social media or in public dealings. That yes, there are an array of fuel additives that are available in the market, especially which can be imported by American friends of yours who can get them in their suitcases. But at the end of the day, you have to
By the
understand.
way, additives in a suitcase is banned because they're flammable. So don't do that. Whoever's listening, don't do that. Don't take this out of India in
Yeah,
your suitcase.
yeah.
Yeah.
But triple shot, as I have also experienced in a very vivid manner, because we've been thoroughly testing this fuel additive in multiple tens of hundreds of cars that we've had in the last 2.5 years. Uh, and we've come out with very good results, which even the manufacturers are not able to get, because triple shot was intended and tested and built for the Indian fuel and environmental conditions. And we are having the effects of it in a very positive way, which I'm really glad of. And it's working out really well for people who have been using it. We also have the diesel fuel additive, which
Talk about the Land Cruiser that you did.
has gotten really, really, really popular. Yes, sir. The Land Cruiser thing. We had the LC300
GRS.
GRS, which is a very, very
Heavy.
heavy and rare car. And people don't get fuel economies upwards of 7 to 8 kilometers to the liter. Overall, I drove from Delhi to a little ahead of Binsar to this place called Munseari, and I came back a total distance of about 850 kilometers in an almost 3-ton SUV, which has an all-time 4x4 system, getting about 15.5 kilometers
Actually,
to
you
the
did
liter.
16.8.
That was the highway figures, but overall, with traffic in place and me getting stuck in a very, very silly traffic situation, I achieved 15.5, which was still staggering for an LC300.
Now, coming back to what fuel economy means
Yeah.
in the broader perspective, it doesn't just mean what are you paying from your pocket.
Mhm.
You've burnt less fuel.
Yeah.
What have you done?
Made my engine healthier.
No, not just that.
Yeah.
You've put out less emission in the environment,
Yeah.
right? You burnt less fuel.
The government should actually consider making triple shot diesel fuel additive mandated for BS7, because it helps getting your emissions lowered down. In fact, interestingly, You've also been working on the DPF cleaning
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
triple
yeah.
shot that's soon coming up. We're still in testing phase. You want to show some light to it? What's happening behind the scenes? A little teaser.
Just in Okay, so we've gone down a completely different chemistry for that.
Mhm.
These two chemistries, what we have here, they are actually they are traditional chemistries,
Uh-huh.
you know, but they are traditional in a way, and the dosage is there, you know, the
Mhm.
right active ingredients are there.
Mhm.
No solvents, no kerosene, no MTO, no diesel inside the diesel bottle just to make it look big. No, actives.
Yeah.
Okay, achieving good results, cost of production super high, that's on me, right?
Mhm.
A tagline says for the love of cars, right?
It
i've
does.
I've made it for cars, nothing else. Cars need to be happy. Cars talk to you, they tell you that they're happy.
It's an actual glass bottle as well. It's not a plastic bottle
Yeah, and
yet.
so the DPF one, we're actually going down nanoparticle technology route.
Interesting.
Yes. That's pretty much all I can tell you right now.
But I guess if that, and we are in the testing phase right now, if we successfully get this to functioning
See, it
at
won't do
large.
rocket science, right?
Yeah.
All it will do is that it will be able to regenerate your DPF without you manually pushing the
So at the
button
end
or
of the day, the emissions that are going on in the environment, even though you would be driving within the city, which you shouldn't be using your
diesels.
DPF enabled cars, you would still be emitting out less pollutants in the air. Is that what we mean?
Yeah, because see, one thing is that we are improving your combustion efficiency, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is got cetane boosters. We are boosting your cetane, we are improving your combustion efficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
And then what happens is that there are two sides to the coin.
Mm-hmm.
One is कि कार्बन निकल रहा है, वो कार्बन को क्लीन कर रहा है.
Mm-hmm.
You're cleaning your injectors, etc.
Mm-hmm.
Carbon cleaning. But the other thing is, why is it being formed?
Okay.
So we have got polythermine. We write it everywhere. PEA, cleaning your injectors, better combustion, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
But we're also trying to stop why was it forming in the first place, right? Combustion catalysts. These are called combustion catalysts. So we're trying to reduce the buildup. And when it comes to the DPF one, the reduction of the buildup is being done by our diesel all in one. Okay. The DPF is going to be, the DPF product will be like a rescue operation.
Mm-hmm.
It will effectively lower the temperature of the regeneration, which will be helpful for you if you are just doing short runs and you are unable to take the car out on a long drive.
Mm-hmm.
It will help your car regenerate, and it will cause less ash production because the time taken between two regenerations will increase. You will not be regenerating that much quicker because you are producing less soot because of your combustion catalyst in the place. So this is a term called fuel borne catalysts, FBCs.
Mm-hmm.
They are for combustion, they are for catalytic converters, they are for your DPF cleaners. It is also already a well-known technology. It's not some completely groundbreaking thing that we are doing, but we are taking it into the nano perspective.
Mm-hmm.
So it will pass much better.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously dosage as well, right? This is some expensive stuff that we are developing.
Yeah.
Nano is crazy right now. And to give the, see, European cars which may be using the non-nano of FBCs,
Mm-hmm.
they get that duration to passive regenerate on their own, right? Slightly longer distances between, they are mostly doing intercity distances.
Correct.
And we need to effectively increase our active dosages much more so that you can do it between Dwarka, Faridabad, or something like that.
I love how passionate you are about it. And mind you, Varunav, whenever we have had conversations, it just opens up my perspective about so many things which
You hadn't thought of before.
exactly. I'm just sitting there and I haven't even thought about something, and all of a sudden I'm researching deep into it, annoying my wife who's waiting for me at dinner most of the times. But I guess this, and I don't guess, but I believe this newer version of our all-in-one for diesels is going to be revolutionary for all diesel cars in India, because A, the quality of fuel that we are getting, although it's on the better side, but the
Just
quality of
want
fuel.
to add something to it.
Yeah.
What we are seeing right now with E20 will be a thing with isobutanol as well.
But don't you think isobutanol is not going to be so easy to be implemented into the country because
It'll
of
be
the
easier.
transport lobby
It'll be
that's in
easier.
place?
It'll be easier.
Why
Trust me.
how do you say that?
Because then you're dealing with more B2Bs
Uh-huh.
and you're dealing with less retail. हल्ला कौन मचाता है जो रिटेल कस्टमर है वो ही तो मचाएगा फिर जब आप B2B के साथ डील कर रहे हो majority B2B के साथ
But aren't transport lobbies going to be affected?
CCTN value will reduce, okay, with biodiesels, with your isobutanol, etc.
And
CTN
biodiesel is
values,
something that got sort of failed in the Indian
yeah,
context.
because they were not able to produce the kind of quantities that they needed. आएगा तो after all वेस्ट वेजिटेबल ऑयल्स एंड वेस्ट प्रोडक्ट्स है ना तो आप वो कलेक्ट ही नहीं कर पा रहे जितना चाहिए मैंने भी अपना बायोडीजल बनाया है आई नो हाउ टू मेक इट बट आई नो इट्स अ वेरी टीडियस थिंग व्हेन यू हैव टू डू इट इन वॉल्यूम इट्स नॉट इजी मैन
And India is a volumetric country for everything in terms of supply.
and if they want they can make huge quantities of biodiesel here but right now the thing is that biodiesel right now is where ethanol was 20 years ago but ethanol में क्या था that there was already infrastructure big infrastructure for the potable liquor for the consumption of liquor उस इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर को फर्दर इम्प्रूव किया गया बायोडीजल में इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर विल हैव टू बी मेड फ्रॉम स्क्रैच अभी पीपल आर डूइंग स्मॉल प्लांट्स bootstrap plants but they're just not able to collect the raw material needed.
It's still a long arduous process.
But that's what now biodiesel हो नहीं पाया तो अब isobutanol पे शिफ्ट कर रहे हैं.
Interesting.
Which is also an alcohol. Ethanol, isobutanol, methanol.
And our triple shot is ready for it.
Yes. So at that time don't say कि ये तो E20 देख के बनाया because ट्रिपल शॉट पे आप देखो हमने बहुत पहले E20 लिखना शुरू कर दिया था.
Correct.
And then people started to say कि ये तो आप देखो धंधा बना रहे हो ये वो all of that crap. Right? अब हमें पता था कि क्या होने वाला है if we beat you to it.
Yeah.
And we're giving you a solution for your problem. How is it my fault?
I have been through some troubles. I swear. The
If you
kind
see,
of
you're already compatible with E50.
I've been through some troubles. There was
Don't say E50 जब आएगा then don't say कि हमने बताया नहीं.
a lot of lobbyists, a lot of leftist media had picked up my article about me going against the E20 narrative because our car manufacturers were not ready for it. Most of the cars that were manufactured perhaps in last year, almost 80 to 85% of them were not E20 compliant. When I say E20 compliance, there has to be material compliance. There has to be all these fuel bunkers, fuel tanks, which need to be compliant for storing these fuel pumps as well, which not anyone is talking about. And it's a very important factor
It's
because
a very, very simple thing that many fuel pump owners have done, but many have not done.
Yeah.
They need to increase the height of their suction pipe so that they can give space कि अगर पानी आया और settle हुआ, they don't suck up the water. And many people have done this.
The ventilation system also sort of creeps in a lot of water, and we've seen in quite a lot of video evidences where
पूरा पानी बाहर आ रहा है.
पानी गाड़ियों में जा रहा है. And of course, it's going to be affecting the end consumer, and there is no resolution to it. The government will
There
not
is
protection to it.
We have spoken about that system.
But the protection is not there from the government side, is what I'm saying. So that's something which is really important, and there is so much happening behind the scenes with our triple shot fuel additive. Varunav has been at the forefront of building this solution more than a product for cars enthusiasts, normal people who really have spent a huge chunk of money to buy cars. A car is the second most expensive thing someone buys.
It's such an important part of our life, yet we overlook it so much.
Yeah.
As I said before, that even a 2 kmpl difference on an 80-liter tank is 1 day more of running. If you're doing, say, 80 kilometers in a day, it's 1 day more of running. how much money are you
And it
saving over the year?
compound, yeah, exactly. It compounds up to thousands of rupees in savings
Like
every year.
this bottle for 550 bucks, it saves back its money.
Exactly.
You were pulling 30 kmpl from that what Kia,
Yeah.
right?
Which people don't believe about, but that's factual. That's
Man,
something that we really did
we spoke about this, that let's do a drive from Delhi to Bombay on a single tank of fuel.
in the 7 Series. I think that could be possible. That's going to be very interesting. So hold on to that. We would be doing that as well.
That car gives 28 kmpl, 26, 28, 26, 28.
So Varunav,
Yes.
we've understood that from the beginning of this conversation that the entire industry is slightly in shambles. We are in a very confused state, perhaps not as a car
I
manufacturer,
wouldn't say it's in shambles, but I would say that there are great ideas, but they're not coming to light.
and they
There
are in
are
the gray space.
there are people within this industry who have great ideas,
Yeah,
who are in a position to make those changes, but there are limitations.
correct. And we're not able to connect these two dots where there is the opportunity and there is a mind like yourself, like how we sort of picked up the opportunity where E20 was being pushed down. Although a lot of controversies happened over it, a lot of people backfired us as trying to promote a product, getting all the attention.
Like, I'm not against E20, right? But I just don't understand why couldn't the option be there.
Yeah.
It should have been as an option. Right now XP95 is there, 100 octane fuels are there. They're options, right?
Correct.
So why couldn't E20 fuel be an option just like it is in the rest of the world?
Perhaps is to benefit some people in power.
I at a certain point,
Mhm.
like, they could have
Mhm.
rebranded the
Mhm.
mid-tier performance fuels as the regular fuel
Mhm.
and given E20 as the base fuel,
Mhm.
which is mostly the case in outer countries,
Mhm.
where there is something called special, super, and E, E
Mhm.
plus, E20, whatever they call it.
Mhm.
And then that becomes the base fuel. So
Mhm.
people choose the mid fuel, right?
Mhm.
But यहाँ तो mid fuel में भी 20% ethanol हो गया.
So Varunav, they've had an hour and a half long conversation.
We can talk for 3 hours.
It was a long and arduous conversation, but a lot of things were clear, not just to the viewers, but to me as well. There is always an opportunity to get solutions for the deepest of problems that lie in the society. We as Indians are so smart, so
Frugal innovation,
frugal
jugaad, frugal
in
innovation.
exactly in innovating things which really solve a mass problem. Now, when triple shot fuel additive came on my table about 2.5 years ago, it was something that I would sit down with my parents and talk about, and they would laugh about it. But slowly and steadily, we realize that there is a huge, huge problem that we are
Potential, yeah.
all going to face. And this comes out to be one of the best solutions to everyone who has a car, be it brand new,
Or
be
be
it
it 20
old,
years old.
or be it a vintage. It has come out to be one of the greatest all in one solutions to get better fuel economy, protect your engine from rancid fuel, and make your cars drive smoother
And faster.
and faster.
Because see, the thing is that when we use this, we kind of stop caring about fuel economy because the cars are driving better, so you tend to enjoy them more.
But they still are very economical.
And people just, when I love connecting with my customers, yeah, and I call them and I ask for their feedback. And sadly, we can't record that feedback on you know various things, and they tell me. I asked them कि sir, fuel economy, sir, वो तो मैं देख ही नहीं, मजा ही इतना आ रहा था. We get lot of answers like that.
That's the power of triple shot all in one high performance fuel additive. It has solved huge things for car owners, enthusiasts, and people who just generally love cars in their daily lives. There are people who have cars from their parents, people who drive to just spend their weekends,
And just unwind,
or
right?
just unwind, have a long trip. This is a solution to a lot of problems that we are all suffering as car people. And with that,
It says for the love of cars,
it
right?
says for the love of cars. Thank you for listening to this podcast.
We will be back soon.
We will be back very, very soon. And in fact, there is a lot of things. I wrote, Varunav wrote this
On the
whilst
way here,
whilst we were coming here, and that's just
I
10 minutes
think
of
we
time.
just went through like
One
one
page,
third,
one
one
third of
third
the
of
one
it.
third of
Yeah.
the page, and there are so many things that we need to have conversations about.
And I guess by the time we meet again, I'll probably have a much longer list. And I know many of you would be thinking, why didn't we get to talk more about the product? Like, there is so much of technical information that I want to share with everyone, along with Mr. Race Monkey. And how does it really work? What changes does it make? Um, yeah, but for that, we'll need a whiteboard, and then we'll draw a couple of things. We'll explain to you how do these things work. And like, fuel is a huge part of our car, man. It is the water and the food of the car. It survives on that.
We can go on and on about it with Professor Varunav.
I'm not a professor, bro. I'm not a professor.
So, till the next time,
Thank you and adios.
stay safe,
Drive fast.
drive fast, and always wear your seatbelts because that
Also,
is very, very important.
the Japanese say that you need to redline your car once in a month.
Yeah.
Self cleaning.
While you use triple shots, all in one performance fuel additive. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for now. Thank you so much.
Thank
This was
you.
a
Thank
lovely
you for
conversation with my brother who came in last minute, and I pushed him to get to a studio impromptu, unscripted, nothing. I was about to talk in a very, very erotic.
I mean,
Yeah.
I just love
We're
how
not done
this
yet.
looks, right? I just love how this looks.
And don't drink triple shot
Yeah,
if
yeah,
you're
yeah,
if you're drunk
Don't,
enough.
yeah, don't
There's a
drink
warning
triple
given
shot.
over there.
And the cars love how this looks. Like it's a drink for your car.
That's a long conversation.
It's a complete drink for your car.
Goodbye, guys. Good
Bye.
night. Have a good time.